Hi, everybody.
Hi.
We are here with Bridget Barnes, the Director of Common Sense Parenting Program for Nebraska and Iowa. And we're talking about surviving the end of the school year, a challenge that a lot of parents struggle with. So we have some questions that have been sent in, and then feel free to write a question into the comments, and we'll try and get to as many as we can. So thanks for joining us, Bridget.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be here.
Good. Well, let's get started. One of our first questions, the end of the school year can be an especially stressful time for kids, especially the junior high, senior level. What advice do you have for parents on helping them get through the end of the year and kind of seeing the bigger picture?
Well, if you can, just slow things down a little bit every day. Just taking time just to go over a kid's day, like how are you doing? Whether it's right before bed, you just don't know how much that might mean to a child or a young teen who's getting ready to make some decisions, and some information that you could get that you didn't know about as far as what they were thinking about or some of their anxieties about the transition they're about to experience. So just slowing things down and being willing to take some parent-child time. You know, we go and look at the different colleges and applications and things like that, but it might be a good time also just a mom and daughter trip or a father son or just a family trip. It could just be something very small over the weekend where you just really kind of reconnect because you're about to have that separation, which is hard for parents and for kids. Lots of kids will, get homesick when they go off to college or away from home. So it's a good time. And even if they're not leaving home, just to assess where are we going and how's life going to change for us now that you're no longer in high school or you're about to transition.
What about testing? Testing seemed that those end of the year exams seem to be incredibly stressful for kids,
Right.
Especially nowadays. It seems like there's a lot more pressure to really do well on those. What advice do you have for parents on helping them kind of split up the work and split up some of that study time so it doesn't seem like such a big task?
Yeah. Well, after 90 minutes, you can't retain that information. So having kids sit for hour after hour after hour is not a good idea. So making sure that they break it up and do something as little as having a snack and sitting down with you or taking some time to play chess, or whatever the case may be. I know that I did that with my son, and he would make a move and then I'd come back and see he made a move, and that would just break up his study time. But also just really helping that child put things in perspective, maybe having a little plan. Maybe they'll use kind of an organizer to say, I'm going to study for this long, and then making themselves like a fit, your little exercise bit where you go, stop now and do something different, go outside, walk around, do something that relaxes you. And really, it shows that when people exercise, maybe even exercise, you do better on tests. You do better as far as studying. Your mind is going to do better. So taking the time to do something physical between that study time would be good as well.
It's great. I love the chess idea. That's a way to break it up. That's fun. A while back, you had some great advice. We were talking about what role parents should play when it comes to homework and sitting down to homework. And I loved what you said about what the most important thing parents can do for their kids at home when it comes to learning the material that they're learning in school.
What did I say?
Do you remember that?
It must have been good.
It was very good. You had mentioned that that their most important role was to make the learning fun and kind of take some of what they're learning in the classroom.
Right, because every kid is different and how they learn is different. And when they learn in the way that is comfortable to them, then they're having fun at doing that. So if you have a kid who's very kinesthetic or learns by doing, I would definitely, if it was about science, I would go outside and look at butterflies and let's try to catch them and let's try to understand how that science problem might work in real life. Whereas a kid who loves to read, maybe that's what you would do with that child. Where we read about the butterflies and we find books that we like about the butterflies and we make a story about the butterflies. And so that becomes fun, and that learning becomes something that they really can connect with because that's how they learn.
I love that. I think it's such a great extension of what they're learning in the classroom, and it makes the parents' role in learning a lot more fun.
Yeah, and not so daunting. I don't know everything my kids are learning, but I do know my kid. And so when I know what they like to do and can bring that into their lives, into our daily lives, whether it's we're making a cake and now we have to learn about measurements and, those kind of things, then it brings it to the everyday. Because sometimes kids are saying, why should I learn this? I'm never going to use it. I'm like, it's around you all the time.
That's great. So another thing parents struggle with towards the end of the year is sleep. So once the weather turns nice, if it ever does around here, kids are up later, kids are outside later, and kids are not getting to sleep. And I think that parents are also enjoying that outside time. So how do we as parents remember how important sleep is, especially when it comes to some of those end of the year challenges?
Yeah, sleep is important for kids, and getting enough of it really is going to help them in school and help them be more cooperative at home. So just having a routine and trying to stick to it, and with the understanding there are going to be days that we're not going to stick to it, and not getting yourself so anxious about it that you don't get any sleep because you're so worried about being off schedule. So be okay and try to do things, slow down your day. So as it gets later in the day, you're not doing so much activity as much as you're doing more downtime, whether it's reading or board games and watching, not turning on a lot of television or dealing with a lot of screens, because it wakes up the brain. So, just slowing it down, trying not to eat any kind of heavy meals before you go to sleep, because that'll wake you up as well. So it's really kind of our activity of slowing down, relaxing down, spending more downtime the closer we get, an hour before bedtime, not doing as much as we were doing 2 hours ago. And being okay that, hey, the sun is not always out. So when it is out, you guys are going to be out in it, and maybe you are going to go to bed a little later, and that's okay too.
Awesome. So another thing, I think this was brought up by one of the comments on our page, and I think it's really interesting. Parents tend to celebrate those big milestones. So, the end of junior high or the end of grade school, or obviously the high school graduation. But how important is it to celebrate the end of every year and the accomplishments and how far they've came, and just to take a minute to sit with them and celebrate all the success and what they've accomplished throughout the year?
It's extremely important to celebrate the small steps along the way, because those small steps get you to the big step. And it tells kids, we see you. I'm aware of what you're doing and the effort that you're making, or the struggle that you've gone through. And that even if you had a failure, that you got back up, let's try it again. Because not every year is going to be a success year. Some years are going to be just a real struggle for maybe a kid or a parent or the family, whatever they might be going through. It might have affected that child, whether it's been a divorce or a move or whatever the case may be. That we got through that and we're at the end of it, and let's make a transition to do things differently, to do things better, and what can I do to help you? And so it's always good at the end of the year to, again, take some time, some family time, camping out in the backyard, or going on a camping trip for that matter. I would go every year with my kids. We would go to Colorado, and we would just have that downtime where we would just really kind of reassess where we're at and where we're going, and what our plans, so that our kids would know what we were doing as well. So
that's great. So it looks like we have a question. Are there conversations I need to have with teachers about learning upkeep over the summer? So, are there conversations on what types of things should I be learning over the summer, or teaching them over the summer? What types of things should we be doing, or are there other places to look for that? I know we've got some stuff on our website, but what recommendations do you have?
I think it's great to talk to the teacher about your particular child and what they really struggle with in school, because more than likely at the beginning of the fall they're going to be faced with that same thing again. And so sometimes our kids need that little boost every so often during the summer where they reconnect, and whether we get them involved in reading for the summer, doing more library time, or getting them involved in some scientific thing or a zoo activity that might be going on, or just any Girls and Boy Scouts, that they do lots of things. Kids are exposed to that. So just getting them involved in something where they can continue to learn, and having some, study time at home, not really study, but just reading, where the entire family, if I'm reading a book, everybody's reading. We spend 30 minutes or an hour doing something more academic. And so if that's good for your kiddos so they can kind of stay in line, that might be a good thing. But talk to your teachers about it. Talk to your kid about what they want to do as well, and set up a little schedule that doesn't need to be very arduous or overwhelming. And again, go toward how they would like to learn that subject. That might even help them blossom in that area.
And I know in my experience, our teachers have always been very good about knowing what's coming up. So, you know, when they get to fourth grade, they're really going to need to understand this. And that was a great opportunity to sit there and talk about, gosh, what are some of those things that we need to start discussing over the summer so they're familiar with those concepts when they get to the next stage.
Yeah. My son had an educational mentor. So yeah, his second grade teacher kind of followed him his whole right up till the time he walked across the stage at high school. And so that was really neat to have somebody in his life because he struggled. He had ADHD, and so it was really helpful to him to have somebody that during the summertime she would always kind of be there and study with him, because sometimes when it's the parent telling them, it was more difficult. So yeah.
Yes, and we have some great tips on our website, and I know our behavioral health clinic often does some summer learning programs as well.
Yes, we're very helpful for kids.
Yes, and I've seen lots of schools too start to implement some stuff over the summer, which is fantastic. So here is another one from one of our followers that they sent in. How do I get my younger child motivated at the end of the school year when, quite frankly, as a parent, I'm just as done as they are?
Well, it's always hard to say, do as I say and not as I do. So I would think, you know, really just talking to the kids about what would they like to do and sandwiching those fun things, you know, something more difficult to do or something maybe, you know, they are struggling with between the fun things that they like to do. I don't have any magic wand about it. I would say that if you wait till the end of the year to try to get everything done, or you know, your kid was really failing, it's kind of late for that. And now you have to regroup and think about what do we need to be doing in the summer to help the child, you know, be more effective in the fall. And so it might be what it is. If it's really that you waited too long to really try to make any corrections. If the child is just kind of petering out at the end here and they're thinking it's warm and I'm daydreaming my school day away, you may want to put some incentives at the end of the day or go over their school day, find out what they like best about the school and what do they struggle in school today, and then talk to their teachers and help them keep online with their activities there at school.
Wonderful. Let's see, all right, we have another one. My child has some anxiety already about who their teacher is going to be next year. Any tips?
I would take my son in to his school in August to meet his, because teachers are usually there setting up. And I wanted to because he was a special needs child. So I wanted him to meet his teacher, and we would take her some cookies or, you know, for thank you. And this is
cookies too.
Yes. And we would meet and he would get to see the room, and, you know, we wouldn't stay very long because I know she had a lot to do, and I would schedule that. And so it was an automatic kind of thing that I would do. And then he was less anxious because he had already been to the classroom. He had already met the teacher. He knew who that person was going to be. And then practicing the skills that my son would need in the classroom. It always makes, regardless of the teacher, if you can know how to follow instructions, accept no for an answer, stay on task, you're going to do well with almost every teacher. And so that was over the summer, not just academics, but the behaviors kids need in that classroom to be successful. Because you could have a genius on your hands, but if you can't follow instructions and stay on task, he's going to struggle.
That's great advice. I love that. So the conversations are more focused around the kids' behavior and following instructions, and then every teacher will be great.
I think so.
That's great. So another one that came in, my child really thrives on daily routine and structure. How can I keep that up over the summer?
Just add that to the mix. You know, there's going to be times where there's just free time, but it's dependent on how you followed structure. Did you clean your room this morning? Did you, you know, put all your toys away, you know, whatever the requirement is, maybe 1, 2, 3. And every time you do that, you earn more screen time or you earn more time outside. Definitely, I think having a little routine is good for kids, and they will accept it if you put it into your daily activities.
That's great advice. You kind of covered this one already. With the end of the year being so close, if my child isn't doing well, are there any last minute efforts I can take?
You know, well, I try to do more incentives than I say, okay, the hammer is going to be lower, because really, if you you do poorly, you're going to get bad grades. You're going to have to repeat classes or the grade. There's enough, that kids don't like about that without me adding on. But I try to put an incentives on the end of that. Like if you do really well, you'll be able to do this or earn that at the end of the year, and keep that picture on their storyboard. Like, see that's mean that you're working to get that grade for, or see that activity when we go on vacation that you'll be able to do. You're going to be able to ski versus not ski because you got great grades, or something very simple for that matter. It doesn't have to be the big ticket items. It could just be something that's simple that the kid wants. And lots of times what children say to us, the most motivating thing is people and attention. That means you and your time. So just spending time with that kid, you'll be amazed. I remember my dad taking me fishing. I have a big family, but that means so much to me. And now as a grandmother, that still stays with me. So when you're thinking about buying a lot of stuff, just think about spending time with your kid, and think about that being the motivator at the end of the year.
That's great. I know a lot of times we'll use that screen time as, because that's such a thing that kids want and they want more of, and so a lot of times we use that as our reward. But I love the idea of that one-on-one time and making that your valuable reward and what they get.
I think you have to do a little detox, over the summer with that screen time. We find that after 28 days when kids are off of it, they go, hey, they're people and I can do other things, and making sure that you don't overload them with a whole lot of screen time. Not that screen time isn't good. It's part of their life. It's not going away. And in fact, there's a lot of good things on the screen, but using that, limiting that is going to be important as well. And really letting the summer be about interacting with people, because there's been a lot of screen time during the fall because it's part of their school day.
It's nice to go out and meet your neighbors all over again and remember who they are.
Play, have fun.
Probably only relevant to the people that live near us. But all right, well, I think that's all we have. So I really appreciate you joining us. Thanks for all the expert advice. And if you'd like to learn more about Common Sense Parenting and the classes offered in your area, you can go to boystown.org/CSP.